You know that feeling, right? You spend an entire day studying, you've got the coffee, the playlist, and then you realize you can't remember a single thing. Well, today we're diving into a guide that has a really simple and maybe a little provocative take on how to fix that, like for good. Yep, you heard that right. According to the source material we're looking at today, the way most of us have been taught to hit the books is, well, it's just fundamentally broken. I know, that's a huge claim, but stick with me, we're going to unpack it. All right, so first up, we need to tackle what the guide calls the great study lie. And really, this is all about unlearning those common habits that we think are the keys to learning, but, spoiler alert, are actually pretty useless. Okay, so the guide immediately goes after the whole vibe of studying. You know, that romantic, cozy image of learning with some lo-fi beats in the background. It's basically saying, look, if that whole aesthetic hasn't gotten you results after all this time, maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't the music, it's the method. And this right here? This is the core issue with passive learning. I mean, highlighting feels productive, doesn't it? But the guide makes a great point. Just because your textbook page looks like a neon yellow crime scene, that doesn't mean any of that info actually made it into your brain. It's the illusion of work without any of the real mental heavy lifting. This chart just lays it out so clearly. On the left, you've got all the comfy, passive stuff we've been talking about, highlighting, just rereading pages over and over. But on the right, that's the active stuff. That's the hard stuff. And the guide's whole argument is that real learning, it only happened on the right side of this chart. Okay, so if the old way is totally wrong, then what's the right way? Well, the source gives us one single core technique that it claims is pretty much all you need to really master any subject. And here it is, active recall. Now, the definition seems simple, but that word actively is everything. This isn't about letting information just wash over you. No, it's about forcing your brain to go digging, to find that information all on its own without any help. And this is the huge mental shift you have to make. We usually think of studying as just cramming information in, right? But what active recall says is that the real work, the thing that actually builds strong memories, is practicing getting that information out. It's like working a muscle. Every time you force yourself to remember something, you're making that mental pathway stronger. All right, I know what you're thinking. This sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? Well, the guide breaks it down into this super simple 3-step method that, honestly, anyone can start using right now. So this is the framework the source gives us. And yeah, it's a little blunt, but it's memorable for a reason. The whole idea is that teaching something forces you to simplify it, to really understand it. You can't hide behind big words or fuzzy concepts when you're trying to explain it to someone who has no idea what you're talking about. So here are the steps, plain and simple. Step 1, learn the concept. Read the chapter, watch the lecture. That's the easy part. Step 2, and this is the most important part, you close the book. Seriously, put it away, get rid of the safety net. And then step 3, you explain it out loud in your own words, like you're teaching it to someone else. That's the real test. And here's the magic of it. When you stutter, or you get stuck, or you realize, wait, I don't know how these two things connect, that's not failure. That's data. It's like a big flashing sign pointing to exactly what you don't understand. So then you just open the book again, fill in that one specific gap, and then you try explaining it again. All right, so now you've got the technique down, but what about your materials? What should you actually be learning from? Well, the guide has let's just say, a very strong opinion on the best tools for the job. So according to the source, not all resources are created equal. It puts textbooks way up at the top, like S-tier level. And why is that? It's because they're professionally structured, they're deep, they're designed to be a complete course. On the other hand, something like YouTube videos, they're ranked as B-tier. I mean, they can be useful for sure, but the quality is all over the place, and you're at the mercy of the algorithm, not a real curriculum. So really, the takeaway here is all about structure. The guide's argument is that a textbook is this complete, curated path that's been laid out for you by experts, and that makes it the most reliable, most efficient way to really learn a subject from scratch. And finally, this is where the guide gets, well, a little weird and pretty satirical. It wraps up with this vision of what true mastery looks like by introducing a character from its own channel lore to make this final, completely over-the-top point. So get this, the source introduces us to this almost mythical figure,
an Oxford student. And this student has supposedly mastered the art of learning so completely that they've gone on to achieve, well, some pretty unbelievable things.
Yeah, you are seeing that number correctly. 78. The guide satirically claims this student used their incredible learning ability to colonize 78 countries. Now, obviously, this is a completely wild, over-the-top joke, but it's designed to make a point.
Okay, let's be super clear here. The point is not literal conquest. Of course not. This whole academic colonist thing is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for achieving such complete and total intellectual mastery over a subject that you don't just understand it, you can build on it, you can manipulate it, you fundamentally own it.
And that's really where this whole thing leaves us. It's a super powerful, surprisingly simple technique, all wrapped up in some pretty unforgettable satire. And it really forces you to ask yourself, if you stop just passively highlighting and start actively recalling, what will you conquer?
Okay, you know the feeling. We've all been there. You're just staring at that growing pile of little things to do. The mail on the counter, the shoes by the door, that one dish in the sink. Each one is tiny, but man, together, they create this giant, overwhelming monster of procrastination. So how do we fight it? Let's get into it.
It feels like we're always seeing these two extremes, right? On one hand, you've got the gurus telling you to hold up a lonely sock and ask if it sparks joy. And on the other, you have reality shows that, let's be honest, make you feel a little too good about the fact that your own laundry pile hasn't developed its own postal code yet. It's either absolute perfection or total chaos. Surely there's got to be a middle ground, a practical, simple method that doesn't require a spiritual awakening or a hazmat suit. Well, good news, there is. And it's so simple you'll kind of wonder why you didn't think of it yourself. The secret to unlocking a tidier space and, a calmer mind, it all boils down to one simple condition. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, you just do it. Right then, right there, no adding it to a to-do list, no, I'll get to it later. This isn't just a tip, it's a complete shift in how you think. So let's put a name to it. This is the 2-minute rule. It's basically a productivity hack that's designed to short-circuit procrastination before it even gets a chance to start. And its power isn't in its complexity, it's in its profound, almost absurd simplicity. Okay, but that sounds way too easy, doesn't it? How can such a simple rule actually change anything? Why is this tiny little shift so incredibly powerful? Well, what's really fascinating is the psychology behind it. It's all about creating this positive feedback loop. So you see a small task, say a dirty cup on the counter. You just do it, right? Takes 30 seconds. And you immediately feel this tiny jolt of accomplishment. That good feeling, that little win, makes you more likely to tackle the next small thing, and then the next. And that's how you build momentum. And this really gets to the heart of it. The 2-minute rule isn't actually about the task itself. It's not about getting the dishes done. It's about training yourself to overcome that initial resistance, that, I don't wanna, and mastering the art of just starting. It completely transforms cleaning from this vague, stressful idea floating around in your head into a series of small, satisfying actions. It's the difference between dreading the mess and experiencing that pure, unadulterated satisfaction of, watching a pressure washer just absolutely obliterate decades of grime from a dirty patio. You know that feeling. It's that.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, here's your instant action plan. Wiping the counter? That's 30 seconds. Taking out the recycling on your way out the door? Maybe 10 seconds. Hanging your coat instead of just throwing it on a chair? 5 seconds, tops. Each of these is a tiny victory, a small deposit into your momentum bank. All right, let's call out what it is. You clicked on this explainer. You are actively watching a presentation about how to stop procrastinating on chores, which is in itself a pretty clever form of procrastinating on chores. I see you. We see you. It's okay.
And that's exactly why we're proud to announce our new, completely fictional browser extension, the Untrap. The moment you search for cleaning tips, it just closes the tab and flashes a simple message. Go clean something. It's the ultimate productivity tool. But in all seriousness, that's the real takeaway here. The information is pretty useless without action. So I'll leave you with this one question. This explainer's over. The next 2 minutes of your life are literally about to begin. What are you going to do with them? All right, let's talk about something that feels way more complicated than it should be. How do you actually dress well? Not for some fashion shoot, but for, your actual life.
Let's cut through all the noise and get to the playbook that actually works. Because let's be real for a second, the whole world of fashion can feel completely disconnected from reality. You see stuff on the runway or all over your feed, and you just kind of have to ask yourself, is this a giant inside joke that nobody let me in on? I mean, come on, this says it all, right? You see these runway shows, and this is exactly what pops into your head. It feels more like performance art than something you'd actually wear. You're not popping out for a coffee in that, are you? And then you've got the other extreme, the whole hype culture, where the only thing that matters is a tiny logo. The math is just baffling, isn't it? It's a plain cotton t-shirt, but you slap a tiny red rectangle on it, and all of a sudden it costs $500. That's not style. That is some really, really good marketing. Okay, so if designer garbage bags are out and overpriced logos are out, what's actually in? What does it take to build a wardrobe that genuinely looks good? Well, turns out the secret is a whole lot simpler than the fashion world wants you to think. The real key to looking good, like consistently good, isn't about having a ton of money or trying to keep up with every single trend. Nope. It's about understanding just a few core ideas that are timeless. They just always work. And that's the goal here. Effortless style. It's about looking put together and confident because your clothes are working for you. They fit well, they feel good, and they show you put a little thought into it, not because you dropped a ton of cash on something that'll be out of style next month. And to get there, you really only need a framework of 3 simple rules. That's it. This is the entire foundation. You master these, and you are honestly 90% of the way there. Let's start with the absolute biggest one. Rule number 1, fit is everything. We're trained to look at the brand name, the hype, the price tag, but here's the reality. A $20 shirt that fits you perfectly will always look a million times better than a $500 shirt that hangs off you like a tent. A great fit just looks sharp. It's the foundation of everything. So here's the whole framework. 1, fit over brand. Non-negotiable, it's the golden rule. 2, stick to about 3 core colors. This isn't about being boring, it's about being strategic. When your main clothes are in a few complementary colors, like black, gray, navy, maybe an olive, everything automatically goes together. It just takes the guesswork out of it. And 3, and this one is so important, buy for the body you have right now. Not the one you're hoping to have in 6 months. Clothes that fit you today project confidence. So all this theory is fine, but what does it actually look like in the real world? Let's do a little before and after. We'll take a look that's pretty common and see how these rules can totally transform it. You know this look. We've all seen it. Maybe we've even been there. It's that classic computer science student uniform. The oversized hoodie, the headphones, maybe some cargo pants. It definitely screams, I have other priorities. And look, it's comfortable, sure, but it's the default setting, not really a conscious choice. And now look at the after. The entire vibe has changed. And what did we do? We didn't change the person. We just applied the 3 rules. A clean fit, a simple color palette, and the right size. The result is just clean, simple, and it projects this quiet confidence. Okay, so we've broken down the problem and we've laid out the incredibly simple solution. Now for the most important part, turning this from an idea into something you actually do. It's time to think about your own closet. So seriously, think about it right now. What's one piece of clothing you own that you could instantly improve just by applying these principles? Not by spending more money, but just by focusing on the fit and how it works with everything else. Finding that one item, that's your first step. That's how you start building a style that really works for you.